Hello everyone, it's me Joe. I know I haven't posted in a while. Their life has taken that priority. Has taken the top priority during that time. I'm recording this and we'll post it at some point because I want to talk about two very serious philosophies, two philosophies, two very important issues that I feel like need to be discussed. And one of them has to do with a police officer. Sorry, one of them has to do with a police officer, with a officer-involved shooting in Alger. And let me go into that. These officers had been basically the suspect that they were arresting had taken them on a very long, well, I don't know how long it was, but had taken them on a very dangerous car chase. And the car only stopped because, from my impressions, the wheels had basically burned out. Well, when the police officers told the woman to get out, told the woman to please step out of the car, she said, "Let me finish my cigarette." So they waited. She was clearly giving the police some sass, and they were patient. They didn't try to break the window at all. Well, I mean, they should have broken the window, so that was fault for them for not doing that. They waited. Waited for her to finish, and when she'd finished, I can only assume that is what caused her car to start smoking. Well, after being yelled at to open the door, she opened the door, and as she opened the door, she got out of the car with a knife in her hand. Well, the police shot her because they weren't going to take any chances of her trying to stab one of the officers, because one of the officers, if I remember correctly in the video, was fairly close enough to where she could have had a fairly good chance of stabbing the officer. So they shot her. It's being investigated. The officers involved have been placed on administrative leave. And I was looking at one of the comments. And the comments from a profile known as PhantasmicPhantasmic, no one important really, basically went on to make basically went on to make the claim that there are no good police officers. They're nothing but organized crime. Well, he said there were no good police officers. I went on to point out that my father was one of those police officers who did whatever he could to make sure that any situation he got in where he had to arrest someone who was being aggressive didn't require him to use his gun. He said that my dad was one of those old school guys, and that was good, but they died out. I then went on to explain to him that that's not true, because while I live in a small town and it's not Chicago, these officers are very kind and caring officers. Hell, the officers in DeKalb County, some of the nicest officers I've met, because this past winter I was pulled over for going 70 and 55 coming home from work in December. And the officer asked me how I was doing, told him I was doing good. He asked me why I was going, if I had any idea how fast I was going. I said no. He said I was going 70 and 55. He asked me where I'd come from. I said I had just come from work. I was driving home. I'd gotten off at 10:30. He said, "All right, so I can tell you're tired, worn out." I'm like, "Yeah." So the officer was kind enough to understand that I was tired, because I'm sure he could relate. Coming home from work is you're definitely tired. And he said, "Well, being that this is your first time offense," well, it wasn't. I had a ticket shortly after I graduated, but I was able to get that scrubbed from my record. So he said, basically, since this was your first offense, I'll have you off the verbal warning, and I want you to promise me that you're going to drive home safely. I said, "Yes, sir." Yes, officer, I will. And I was fairly close to home, so I didn't drive too fast, but I made sure to drive safely. And that officer showed a great amount of concern because he understood where I was coming from. So and then I talked about how, I don't know if she still does it, when I was in high school, we had a female officer who would come in, sometimes eat with the students, eat with me, my classmates, laugh at some of the jokes we tell, just smile at our goofiness, socialize with us. She was a nice lady. And he basically said that that is all irrelevant. And that's when he made the claim that they're all organized crime members. It's nothing but an organized crime organization or an organized crime family. I went on to say to him, he said there are officers who will try to abuse the power. And I said, I don't doubt that, but that's where you're wrong. Not all officers are bad. And the fact that you have the audacity to make the claim that police nowadays are organized crime shows how little you know about what organized crime really is. I'll admit, I didn't grow up with any of the organized crime families that people think about. I was born in 1998. Organized crime, like what Al Capone was involved with, was long gone. That's not the point. The point is that if you want to know what organized crime is, look up Al Capone and the outfit. The Irish mob. Some people like my father refused, are too stubborn to admit it. The Irish mob, the Russian mob, the 5 crime families of New York City, or New York. That's organized crime. And Phantasmic, I don't think you know that, or I don't think you realize that. And that's the thing. You judge by saying that all police officers nowadays are organized crime, it's nothing but organized crime, is false. Because you're basing the actions of a few bad apples and using that to judge every other police officer in the world. So, and the fact that you have the audacity to say that the fact that my examples are irrelevant just shows how narrow-minded you are. It just shows that you're not going to accept the fact that there are good police officers out there. And that just shows, and this shows a very unfortunate individual who doesn't want to accept the fact that not all police are bad. The police officers that were shot and killed in Dallas, those weren't organized crime members. No, they were police officers who were killed over the rage of recent shootings at the times, and that's understandable. I'm not saying that it's understandable as it's good, but that they were killed as a result of the actions of a few bad apples. They weren't bad. They were just police officers doing their job. And so that's why you can't. So the fact that you say that, Phantasmic, the fact that you say that all police members are part of organized crime is false. It's not true. because you don't know what the fuck organized crime is. Otherwise, you would be well aware that organized crime doesn't involve the police. Well, I mean, there are some dirty cops in organized in crime families. That's part of there's bribery. There's corruption. That's part of any like military force, police force, medical field. There's corruption everywhere. But you really have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to organized crime. You have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to the police. That's for sure. So, yeah. I'm addressing that. And then to a certain, I guess, profile called Liberal Hamster. And I'm addressing you because of your comments on the sentencing of Larry Nassar. Your comments, and I'm making, well, first let's go into who Larry Nassar is. Larry Nassar was a gymnastics doctor who his job was to make sure that to clear the athletes so they could compete. Well, Nassar was arrested for molesting up to over 150 victims. Not to mention he had a fairly large collection of child pornography, which they arrested him for. Well, at his sentencing, he got 175 years in prison, on top of what he was already given as a sentence. Well, good sir, the fact that you have the audacity to say that these victims wanted it, that it was okay, that what more, like how much would it hurt to have them be just molested by their own doctor? The fact that you say that that a little bit more wouldn't hurt shows how narrow-minded you are. I have no doubt you're a Trump supporter because I've looked at your channel and I don't know if those are like videos or if those are videos you made, but they're all in relative support of Donald Trump and his policies. Well, I'd like to see you go on Twitter and tweet at Donald Trump and tell him the exact same words you told me. And I dare you to do it and see what happens, because you'll basically be insulting Ivanka, Melania, Trump's his other daughter's name. I would like to see you go on Twitter and call Melania, Ivanka, I forgot his other daughter. Go and call them whores. See how well that works for you. Because what you said in these comments, and these are your words, not mine, are that these girls want it. The whole Me Too movement has, and you ironically said it, that you feel bad for actual rape victims. You said the whole Me Too movement has caused actual rape and molestation or assault victims, rape and abuse victims. You said that their credibility has gone down because of the Me Too movement, Me Too and Time's Up movement. But then you go on to basically call these gymnasts liars, saying they're nothing but whores, and that majority of American women are whores. And you clearly don't get it. How would... it's just you don't get it. And that's why I asked this question. Do you have a wife? Do you have a daughter? Do you have a son? Do you have a sister? How would you feel if Nassar molested your siblings, your wife, your daughter, your son, your sister, your cousin? How would you feel then? And the fact that you go on, the fact that you say that these girls are looking for a big old bad boy to take their virginity, no, maybe it wasn't that, but like you're saying that these women are looking, women are looking for big old American bad boys to have sex with, is disgraceful. You're basically saying that when, in fact you did. You didn't say it directly, but the way you were saying it, you were basically implying that what Nassar did was okay. And that these women deserved it, and that they liked it. Let me ask you something. What about his youngest victims? You think they asked for it? You think they wanted to be molested? You think they want to have to deal with the trauma he caused them for the rest of their lives? You think they asked for any of that? And you should see it in the comment, but to the male victim that came out, I forgot his name. How do you think he feels? Are you going to call him a whore, a liar? Say he wanted it? Because I can guarantee you, saying what you said to me, I find it hilarious to both Phantasmic, and liberal Hamster. I find your ideology, not your ideologies, your philosophies on Hamster, on your philosophy on rape and abuse, and Phantasmic on your philosophy on the police. I find it hilarious. Because you guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You don't. So to Phantasmic, I hope you see this. Because you don't have a fucking clue about what organized crime is. And you don't... And it's funny because these police officers, they swear an oath to protect the people around them. That includes disrespectful fucks like you. And a liberal Hamster. How would you feel if that was your family member? Your daughter? How would you feel if that was your 6-year-old daughter being molested? You're just going to say she deserved it? Because God, I hope not, because that just shows how unfit you are to be a parent. Because your whole reasoning that it's a war against masculinity is total bullshit. It's like Phantasmic's reasoning that all police officers are bad. It's total bullshit. It's untrue. And it just shows how narrow-minded and how ignorant and disrespectful you two are. I really hope neither of you have kids. Because Hamster, I can guarantee you, if you're, I'm not, I hope, if you do have kids, I hope neither of them are raped or molested, because that'd be horrible. Because knowing you, based on what you've already told, based on what you're telling me, you're just basically going to say, oh, you wanted it. Oh, you're nothing but a whore, you're nothing but a slut. And to Phantasmic, I hope to God you don't have kids. Because the way you view the police, I have no doubt you're going to teach your kids to disrespect the police. All because of a few bad apples who abuse their power. Yes, Phantasmic, I put myself in their shoes. And yeah, I was outraged. But I didn't judge every other police officer based on a few bad apples. And Liberal Hamster, I don't know what to say to you. You're basically saying that you'd be okay with your family being molested. You're okay with... You're basically saying what Nasara did wasn't a crime. And that these women are liars. So it's outrage. It pisses me off, but I'm not going to say anymore because there's just nothing left to say to you. Other than if you two, neither Hamster, Liberal Hamster, or Phantasmic, neither of you have a fucking clue what you're talking about. So that's all I have to say. As for the rest of the people who see this, if you do see them commenting in certain videos, or they do somehow start making videos, I want you to point that out. I want you to point it out that they have some very flawed ideologies or philosophies, however you want to call it. Because your ways of thinking are not the way that is not how the world works. But it's like my dad says, everyone's got assholes. No, it's not that. Everyone's got opinions. They're all like assholes. They all stink. And one more thing. It was on the same video. It was about that shooting in Elgin. To people who are saying, why not taser them? Tasers. This is coming from someone whose father was a retired police officer, who's a retired police officer of over 20 years. Tasers are not a surefire way to deal with a suspect, especially not one with a weapon. And they don't train to shoot to injure; they shoot to kill. They don't train to shoot a gun out of a person's hand. They train to make sure that if that person is shot, they don't get up. If that means they die, they die. Now, should that be abused? No. But if the person has a weapon, is charging police, or it just comes out of whether or not it be a vehicle or a building with a weapon, if the person puts it down before the police tell him, before the police fire, then great. But if he doesn't, the police could say drop. I guess if it was a knife, they could say drop the knife, or drop. If it was a machete, they could say drop the machete. But if it's a gun, don't hesitate to fire. Though I would say make sure that it is a weapon, because we don't want any more. We don't want the news basically saying that you used excessive force. So that's all I have to say. YouTube, if you want to demonetize this, I really don't care. I don't make, with your whole new guidelines of how I have to have 10,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time for my viewers, there's no way I'm making money off this video. So that's fine. I really don't care. But I will see you all later. Thank you.